with me. Thank you so much for joining. I am excited to have you here. And before we jump in, we already had like many ideas. Oh, the wonderful pre-talk. I would love for you to share a bit about yourself, about whatever comes to mind that you want to share about you and your journey.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here. It's just like you get on this conversation we've already been having, and now here we're jumping into the episode, and it always just feels light and beautiful and joyful already. And this is a glorious space you've created. So thank you for having me here. And yeah, so a little about me, what comes through. I'll just say it. I'm a frequency queen. I love frequency. I love talking about frequency. And this is so funny because this isn't something that I dove into until, maybe just 5, 6, 7 years ago. To reach into ourselves with more emotion, more awareness of our feelings, more awareness of our energy. That wasn't me. I was the completely analytical kiddo, going to college as an engineer, multiple degrees in engineering, worked in nuclear engineering, aerospace, defense, transportation, all the things, project management, Fortune 500 companies, like so analytical, so task oriented, so critical thinking, overthinking, analyze it every which way to Sunday without ever really tuning into, how am I feeling and what is my frequency while I'm doing this work? Until very late in my career. I'm turning 40 this year. Woohoo! But I was already into my 30s before I realized that something was wrong with the path that I was on. And not wrong, there is no right or wrong, air quote wrong, but it didn't feel good. And I had this awakening of actually tuning into my emotions and realizing that the journey I was on did not feel great at all. I was getting sick. I would throw up every morning before going to work. I was so fearful and anxious to even be at work. I started having suicidal ideation and depression. And I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And I saw, long story short, that I was on a path that I had been shown as a very young girl as the way to succeed in a male-dominated world, to be financially secure in a male-dominated world, to be independent, to be strong, to be fulfilled, to have the dream. That was the path that was modeled for me. And it was the path that I took then to not necessarily, I would say, bring, honor to my family. But by taking that path, I felt that I was giving my family also peace of mind, because then they're not going to have to worry about me, right? I'm going to have, engineering, right? That's a great career. Science, technology, all that, right? It pays well. It's a great career. I'm a woman in a giant field of men. So I'm like standing out like a sore thumb. But yet at the same time, as our world is changing, I'm being highly sought after because I am that kind of unique woman out there in the sea of men, right? For all these corporate platforms that, want equality and, hire more women and fill the quota, all of that, right? And it was just this interesting awareness of, I got to get out of here. I am literally dying in this world. Even though parts of it felt so right, because I do love the engineering, the math, the science, like I love that stuff. It's so fabulous. But I hadn't realized I'd then completely shut down the other piece of the equation. The teal that loves music and quiet and peace. The teal that sings, that writes, that as a little kid wrote copious amounts of stories and was incredibly creative and imaginative and wanted to be an author when she grew up even, and loved to teach and loved to share and was soft instead of becoming then hard in order to protect herself. I started working with my mentor back around 2018, 2019, when all this was really coming to a head. And it was just through the coaching, that awareness of there was 90% of myself or more that I had ignored for so long.
Mhm.
And it was keeping me from becoming a mom because my frequency was off. And so that was then changing my body and my ability to then become a mom. The stress, the fears, it was shutting down how I was functioning. And it just, rays of sunshine. It feels like stepping into rays of sunshine when I finally started to wake up and see, Teal, you've been ignoring so much of yourself. You've been thinking toxicity was normal. You've been thinking badly of yourself was normal rather than thinking the beauty of yourself and seeing how you were born as pure love, and that is you inherently. And all of these other gifts that I have. And it's not about pleasing anyone else except myself and then serving and contributing to the world through my gifts. It was like stepping into rays of sunshine. And so this is then why I do what I do, because so much of us go through life with this idea that we have to protect ourselves, that we have to please someone else, that we have to play by the rules or go a certain way. And I'm like, no. And this is now how I'm raising my daughter, who is 2.5 years young. This is my intention for myself to model this and raise this for her, is that it feels so damn safe in your body, in yourself, filling your own cup completely. So financially independent, feeling so good and soul tuned into yourself, your soul's wisdom, and the universe, that in a loving, compassionate way, you can put up your hand and tell the rest of the world to talk to the hand.
Yeah.
Right? That you are your own source of safety and power and freedom and money and love and joy and every single thing that you want. That's freedom. That's independence. Tuning to yourself, which is the same thing then as tuning to the universe. And in trusting in the universe, you trust in yourself. And you can do anything. And I'm so passionate about that. And this is why I'm like, frequency, because that frequency is the frequency of the universe, what we were born as. And when we get onto this wavelength, we create this for ourselves. We get the momentum going. We light that fire even more. It's always burning, but we spark it even higher to really get momentum in our life and make the changes we want in our life. So, waxing poetic here, but I get really, 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 really excited about this.
I thank you for your excitement and sparking the passion, which is more than necessary in the world we live in. And I thank you for telling about your career in so much detail, because I think it's very necessary, as almost every woman I know that hasn't come out of that yet is in a world kind of what you described, where, like, essentially, if I have to kind of break it down, I would say we have been conditioned, male and female, we all have been conditioned, but maybe women in a bit of a different way, to always reach for the outside world for validation, for acceptance, for the love that we seek. We seek it in a partner, the like, attention we seek in our job or whatever we do in the community. We seek the approval from our families, but like, who told us that we need to seek everything outside? Why haven't we learned collectively, not individually, but like, why haven't we learned collectively to look inside? Because everything's already there. And not to make us like super self-dependent, that's not what I want to go for, but like to have this, what you described as your awakening moment and stepping out of this toxicity, to say like, oh, there's all these other parts of me too. I kind of totally forgot, because we are not just the engineer, or like I was in fashion, I was not just the designer. No, there's like about 100 different things, and I want to experience them all. I want to feel them all. My body is here to experience all of this stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't have one. So what is it that we go with kind of these blinders on, think we need to do that job, and then do it until we don't do it because we're within a like kind of are 65 or whatever the age is, maybe that you're allowed to not go to work that is not fulfilling you in most of the cases. And this breaking free, which is often so hard, is essentially, I feel like, it's a turning back on the societal conditioning and a turning inwards to yourself and like, what is actually the thing that I want to do? Who am I actually? Like, like you said, like, oh, I love dancing, I love singing, I loved writing. Whereas like my playful side, I totally forgotten that I've had one. And so I think it's very necessary to go into reflection, each and every one of us, but the women maybe even a little bit more, because we still live in a very male dominated structure. That doesn't have to be initially bad, but the balance is needed, and we don't have the balance right now. Not in structure, not in organization, not in like cyclical work or 1,000 other things that we could bring up right now, but like to just see, like, are you in a place where you feel like the full you is coming to surface, is even allowed to come up? You even get aware of it. I think that is, it's such a big field of change that we tiptoe in.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the word that always comes up for me as I explore this myself and I think about this and I feel into this is harmony. Is
Mhm.
this sense of, yes, we are masculine and feminine all together, right? Inside, right? It also appears in our external world, right? But sometimes there's a little more of our feminine coming out or a little more of our masculine coming out, and it moves and shifts, and it's this flow. And I always look at things as, okay, the infinity loop, right?
Mm.
Harmony is what always then comes up for me with that. And that it's not that we're tuning into ourselves in order to then be like at this fixed point of like everything is even here, that I'm always even parts masculine, feminine. Am I taking action or am I resting? Am I doing or am I looking inside? It's this harmony guided by then, if we allow it, our intuition of what is needed in this moment. Do I need a little more action or do I need a little more slowness? Right? Do I need what in this moment? And that's then that harmony. It's just like, any situation in life where, okay, do we need a little more heat or we need a little more water? Is it a little more sunshine or a little more rain? Like, all is in harmony. It doesn't mean that it is equal in every, and I use the word equal with caveats, but it's in every moment, there's just flow. And so we're always then being invited every moment in our life to feel into the flow of what do we sense pulling us? Do we have a sense of being pulled into now is the moment to really
Mhm.
take action, to move the more dominant masculine, which, hey, look, that's what we see in our society mirrored, right? That masculine action, move, go, 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 do, do, do. Or are we being invited be more intuitive, be a little bit still, be nurturing, be receiving rather than giving, which is masculine is giving, be more receiving, which is the feminine. Having those moments. And it's what energy are you feeling inside for that? And so much of us are just used to that outward energy, the give energy, the go energy. And so then we're returning then to this harmony inside. And that harmony comes with listening, with stillness, pause, being in a higher frequency of peace and love and gratitude to hear the intuition that then guides us where we flow with that harmony and pause. And honestly, to me, that was really hard to do. That was really hard to do because of the programming.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like, I'm gonna sit still or just slow down for a minute and not do stuff? Like, I
Mhm.
am literally uncomfortable in my body. Like, I gotta move. I
Mhm.
gotta do. There must be something on
Mhm.
my to-do list I have to do. And taking the time and being so intentional about retraining, rewiring, reprogramming, supporting all of us, mind, identity, body, brain, nervous system, all of us, all of our energy. Whew, that can be really challenging. Can be really
Yes.
challenging.
I agree. I have the same thing. Totally being a workaholic for most of my work life, and even in school, it was always like this, I need to get it done otherwise. And that's what we have learned, at least here in Europe, where I grew up, is like, you need to be valuable, you need to give. Otherwise, you're not giving. It's meaning you're taking, and that's selfish. So always make sure you're giving, and then if there's the rest little space in your day, then you're allowed to take something for yourself. So total nice goal thing. And also this like restlessness of how to create the success, that safety. I think it's a lot about safety. I've seen you've done a post on safety a few weeks ago
Yes.
or something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
I'm
think
all
that,
about the safety. Yep.
yeah, because it's like that. We don't feel safe, or speaking for myself, I for most of my life I'm just learning to like really embody this, feeling safe, quote unquote, doing nothing, being, because you mentioned the infinity sign. I think it's a really beautiful metaphor for this, like being in the middle point of it, like being still and
Yeah,
seeing like, where does the universe want to push or pull me. And it's like this, it's not an equal, okay, I'm doing 1 hour of masculine work and then I'm doing 1 hour of feminine receiving, being the vessel that someone puts something into, please. But it's like, it's the flow. You go up and then you go down and then you go up, and then it's fine. It has its, even the moon does exactly this. Like, it's essentially mirrored everywhere if we would be trained to look. But we are just trained to essentially be robots, isn't it?
yeah,
As you said, like not even feeling, not
yeah,
even questioning. Your body needs to do everything it can to bring you to a place where you would even consider listening. And me too, having
right.
heart pain for 4 years before I even considered quitting my 9 to 5, where you could think like, is she crazy? What is it? Why are you not stop caring for yourself? Never learned it. The safety of me was like getting output as much as I could. That meant safety. So the body breaking down, it needed to like break down quite far until I thought like, okay, well, maybe like that's not how it meant to be, like you said. Oh, and then there's something else I could do or not do. And how hard is that, isn't it? If we have been conditioned to always be the people pleasing, everything's fine, we can care for ourselves, we are no burden to anyone, and we're always like nice and never too emotional or too loud or too whatever. It's a lot of masks that we shed. So it's a lot of stuff, actually. And I don't think it does need to take a long time, because time is essentially an illusion in itself. But like, we have been trained to think it takes so much time, but it takes a lot of like intense energy work in however much of a time you want to fit it in. It takes a lot of intensity and reflection, a focus on. I think it's the energy that we kind of sometimes need to do not bring up in a very short time span. That's why it's expended. But yeah, it's interesting. What is helping you to, if your body falls back into kind of the old habit of like doing and logic, is there anything that you found for yourself where you can kind of gently help yourself lean back and come
Yeah,
to the balance, the harmony?
all the time. I think this is, to me, this brings up for me one of the biggest myths out there, in that when you do this work that you are like a once and done. And it's not. It's not, because even I mean, I work with so many different modalities, hypnotism. I love hypnosis. I mean, I'm so huge fan of that, and do that through all my programs, is tapping, breath work, all these different things. they're all beautiful and wonderful, but they're not a once and done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mentioned, for all of our whole self, we are always whole, right? But I don't like talking about parts or even things like that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's this idea of separateness, and we are not separate. We are whole. We are all together. We are one energy, all at one time, always. And so now I'm losing my train of thought off your question as I go on another segue to get there.
Oh,
Gosh,
good.
shiny object.
I
But
that
I'm
too.
gonna get there. So here's the thing: like think about ourselves as just this one beautiful energy. We'll just take that, and it's not quite perfect, but we're gonna go with it for the moment. And every bit of that energy altogether has to move in order to get out of the programming, right? Because imagine, like, if this was a truck going down the highway and it's got one flat tire, how well is that truck performing? Even
Mm.
if all of the rest of the truck is doing so well and is like, yep, I am thinking the joyful thoughts. I have done the identity work. I have done this. I have done that. I've done the inner work. But you know what? There's this other part back there, that flat tire. It hasn't done the work. It hasn't done the work. And this is where I find for myself, then I would run into, oh, I'm slipping backwards because I have done the identity work, or maybe I did the somatic work, but there was something energetically not addressed throughout the whole of me. Maybe a habit was still lingering that was then at this lower frequency than the identity I had reprogrammed in my subconscious mind. And so my body was still acting out on that habit and causing me then problems, where then now I'm having negative thoughts or taking hustling actions instead of resting and listening to my intuition. Old habits coming up again if they are not addressed, even if I've done the identity work, or feeling the sensations of fear, anxiety, or worry in my body. And I'm like, well, why am I still feeling that? I've done the identity work and here I am and now this higher level. Like, we get into this idea of like, well, you just do this one thing, this one
Mhm.
practice, this one modality. You got to take care of the whole thing, all of the whole of you, to bring it to the next level where change then happens, right? And for me, this is then about devotion. You talk about energy, right? And how things get strung out where we think, oh,
Mm.
change is going to take a long time. Yeah, change is going to take a long time. Well, time is the illusion. It can happen, boom, in this moment, fully and completely. But what is the energetic shift that has to happen in that space? All of you in a moment moving to a higher level of frequency, of energy, right? Going from sadness to joy or anger to peace, whatever that may be in any given moment, taking all of you there, not just your thoughts, not just, oh, my breathing feels more peaceful. No, but imagine if you took every bit of your infinite energy, infiniteness of you, and had to pick it up and move it from the first floor of an
Mm.
apartment building to the 44th floor of an apartment building all together, all at once. How much energy does that take? How much focus and devotion and intention and attentiveness, right? And purpose does that take to take the infiniteness of you and take it from here and move it way up there, or even just move it just a little bit?
Mhm.
All of you all together at the same time without leaving some little trailing breadcrumbs behind that then you got to clean up later because it's going to pull you back down. Right?
Agreed.
It's intense. And so this is also why I'm like, okay, for me personally, I'm not, hey, I want to take my life from 0 to 60 in this moment. I know some people like to do that, but I
Mm.
choose not to do that for myself. because I choose to work with just baby steps. Because I know that, yeah, I could go from 0 to 60 in my identity, but chances are there's going to be little bits of me that are still hanging out down at 0 that I'm going to have to go back and find and clean up. Knowing how I perform and work, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go from 0 here to 5.
Yeah.
And that step feels, air quote, safer for my nervous system. It's not too far out of my comfort zone. It's a little incremental shift, a little incremental change. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to do 10 minutes of silence today. I'm not going to know. I'm not going to sit all day in silence. I'm going to choose to do 10 minutes of silence today. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. And I can support myself emotionally, nervous system in my body. I can do the identity, my mind, all of the bits of me to support that. That feels energetically, air quote, doable.
Mhm.
So where I go for myself is then, this always, eat the elephant one bite at a time kind of idea, right? We climb the ladder one step at a time. This is where I go because I've seen this for myself so often where people are like, you know what? Leap off the cliff and build the parachute on the way down. You've probably heard that saying, right? Or leap and the net will appear, or, all these things. And I've had that bite me in the rear, like big time, to the tune of over $30,000 in debt, bite me in the rear big time. Even though I was already on the spiritual path and doing the inner work and the identity and all of that, my identity was like, yep, I'm doing the reprogramming that, yes, I am that person that can invest this amount of money in this opportunity to grow. This was to grow my first business before I started coaching as an entrepreneur in the equestrian industry. This was my first business. And I'm like, yep, 30 grand, no problem. I have that identity. Well, you know what? My nervous system and brain and body are screaming in the back seat that like, no, I am not rich like that. I am not rich like that. That is not safe. That is not safe. So even though the mind work that I was doing was like, yeah, we got this, the rest of my wholeness was in the back seat, pitching a fit and reeling me back in and saying, this is not safe. This is not safe. This is not safe. This is not safe. Where did my frequency go? Down, crash, bang, boom. What did I then create in life? Not the opportunity. Zero ROI created tons of debt. We create what our frequency is. And if we cannot sustain our frequency at the higher level of the level of what it is we want to create, then we may create it for just a second and then it fades away because we drop. It's not sustainable if we even create then what we want in life at all. And so to me, I stopped shooting for these huge steps. I know this is a roundabout way with your question, but this is what's coming up. So I'm letting it go. But I just quit doing those huge, like, oh, and I'm just going to travel the world like every day. And I'm going to, then suddenly I'm flying on my private jet, like, yes, awesome, beautiful, wonderful. Move toward it. See it, imagine, hear, feel, breathe, think it, smell it, taste it. But I wasn't leaping for that myself. What action can I take? Where can I be energetically right now that moves me toward that opens up that door, that invites in that opportunity? Because now I can just move up 5 steps to the next level, feel comfortable here for a little bit, and then stretch myself like a rubber band a little further to the next 5 steps. Okay, check out this new frequency level. All right, this is kind of like where I was, but a little different. I'm feeling a little bit stretched. All right, comfortable, do my tools, safety in me, and move my energy in all the ways to be at this new frequency. Make sure I can sustain this frequency here. I'm not going backwards. Okay, good. All right, next step, right? That's the energy. This is then where people they're like, I give up because it's not like this instant thing, which it can be. And I'm not here to like rain on anybody's parade, because yes, you can, boom, create it in the moment, right? You can, absolutely, everything is possible. But it's also being aware of what you are willing to invest energetically and intentionally to create it in that moment.
Yes, I agree. I think it's possible, but then depending on who you are and where you are frequency wise or in your life in any ways, it might not be the quote unquote right thing for you right now. So I totally agree on what you said as well, to say like, well, then you kind of snap back. And how often have we witnessed that within ourselves and also within others? It's like, well, she got there and then she didn't. And I feel, for me, like when I think back, when I started learning about all of what I know now, when I started kind of opening myself to the infinite wisdom, my first coach was only doing mindset work. And for quite some time, that was like really, really amazing. But then I've missed the feminine part, of course, you know, the body work, the somatic, the like flowy piece to the masculine mindset work. And it was exactly like you told. It was like, I've left my nervous system behind. And I love the work. I still do it every day, but I want to keep the harmony, to go back to the harmony, to like bring something else in that soothes the rest of me, let's say. So it's again about separation. And I think that is something that I'm witnessing a lot in this like spiritual community, is like this forced manifestation and also the forced release. And I also think like, why is there such a force, such a push behind it? Why can't we gently release? Why does everything have to happen now? It can, but is it really good for you? And if you don't already have it, then maybe it's not good for you. So like this impatience that comes up, or these feelings of, oh, we're a failure because we are not manifesting as fast as the next girl over on Instagram, like this, like, what am I doing wrong? I need the other manifestation technique, or I need another shadow work. It's like you said, this is not a one-time thing. You don't do one round of tapping and then your life is fine forever. Would be nice. You also would never say like, oh, I've ate once in my life. I had an apple, so I'm done with that, you know? So for me, that's kind of like the same thing. I'm drinking constantly something. I'm eating constantly something. So I like this part of my work is also something I'm doing on a regular basis. And the other thing is like, there is divine orchestration to everything. So why are we rushing, depleting our nervous system with the rush and the hurry and the like hustle energy to get somewhere? Everybody talks about enjoy the journey, but like, how can you when your nervous system is deregulated? It's quite hard to enjoy a journey from like being totally in debt to wherever you want to go, 10K, 20K, whatever, millions. That's hard. And I feel like this perceived sense of control with manifesting fast is something that makes it so interesting to a lot of people. Is like the amount of anxiety or despair that a lot of people are feeling, to needing to get out of something really quickly. That's like why I think this like fast leaps have that wonderful, you know, aura that they have. And also like these, if I would only now be there, then everything would be better. It kind of like a taking control over a thing that you cannot control. And that for the moment feels good. But then what comes? The crash, as you said, the separation, because we haven't taken everything, the whole me, you, with us. It's only the mind that jumped, or it's only the body that jumped, but it's not you. And so I'm a big advocate of being more gentle with ourselves in these processes. And that often means exactly what you talked about, like in my opinion, baby steps, taking it slower than your really fast mind wants you to go, and being gentle. And if there's something that feels like a step back, it never is, in my opinion, then hey, take it as an invitation to look again and see what you have learned, because you always have learned something compared to the last time you were at this step. So there's it's a spiral. It's not a step back. So the moment we are gentle and accepting, which tapping is wonderfully, I think, teaching us with loving and accepting ourselves. It's so nice to have modalities that can actually bring you back to say like, hey, you're wonderful exactly where you are. You are wonderful exactly where you are. And then we kind of slowly can learn to let go of this. I feel it's an inner tension that so many of us hold, and embrace where we are. And like you say, then move up 5 steps and see how it feels. Because the logic, you want to invite in the logic, isn't it? Like, how can I imagine having $1 million when I was always in debt my whole life? Like, how can you go there even? I think it's very hard for a lot of people. Or how can you imagine being really healthy when you haven't been? It's sometimes quite hard. So taking baby steps, being gentle with that is necessary, because we don't want to live our lives every day waiting for something that might or might not come, but we don't enjoy ourselves at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I love what you're sharing about the gentleness. Like, when did we get this idea that we have to be hard on ourselves? That, like you're saying, the force and all of that. And this is so beautiful, because I have been placing a lot of intention in my life and with my students and clients as well around pressure, control, attachment, all of these things. There's 2 emotions. Everything in the world is essentially 2 frequencies, and how we then capture that in our human 3D form is our emotions. There's either love or there's fear. And all the various ways we like to explain along the spectrum, they either all boil down to love or fear. And if we're in control and if we're in pressure, it's because we have a fear of something ultimately. And that fear then, from a survival standpoint here in human form, stems from, yes, surviving and safety. So if we're in that place, though, we're not feeling love, gratitude, peace, joy, the high frequency stuff, which is the fabric of the universe. Well, in truth, we are all made of, and the universe is made of. And so this awareness of how we are even feeling is a fabulous thing to ask ourselves when we are intending to manifest, when we are intending to create, when we're doing whatever it is we're doing, whether someone is into vision boards or other practices to create in their life. How are you feeling while you're doing it? How are you feeling when you have put up the vision board? When you think about those things you want to create, how are you feeling? And what is your intention with trying to create it in the first place? Because here's the sneaky thing, like you were talking about, that then comes up. So many then are creating because they are afraid. They're creating because they want the control. They're creating because they feel the pressure to look a certain way in their life, to have certain things in their life, to do it in a certain time, to have it happen now, rather than maybe being patient and waiting and trusting, right? They're fearful. Oh, I need the money because this I need in order to do X, Y, and Z, or to pay my bills, or to survive. And where's the frequency still in all of that? It's so low. It's all wrapped up in fear. And so this is so many wonderful, wonderful souls jump onto, okay, like you said, yep, I manifest this and I want to do it now, when we need to hurry up. And there's pressure to get it done now, because we saw Susie Q over there manifest $5 million overnight. Whoa, I want that too. It's like, ooh, notice how you are feeling and where that is coming from, right? That is guidance for you then on a change to address, to lead you then to start to create that. If you stay in that fearful place, well, no, you're not going to get to that $5 million, because you're in the frequency of fear. Take away the pressure, take away the control. Now, how do you do that, right? That is really the question. When you are your whole life used to like operating on deadlines and pressure and trying to control everything and being reliant on yourself to create everything you want in life, that's always the big one. How do you then step back and just, okay, I intend to experience XYZ in my life. What's that dream? What's that wish? The family, the car, the love, the vacation, the relationships, whatever that is. Like, I intend to experience XYZ. And what does it take then to just leave that there and quit poking it to see if it's done yet? Stop checking the cake, opening the oven every 5 minutes. Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? To just let it there and be at peace that the universe is taking care of that for you as you hold your frequency and peace around that intention, and that it is going to work out for you better than you even imagine. That to me is the leap.
Mhm. That is so beautiful. And I was laughing so hard because what you described with the vision board was me a few years ago, totally not getting it. It was March, I think. And I was like, I need to do my vision board. And I haven't done since starting of the year. And it was like, I need to do it. And then I did it as quickly as I could, kind of crammed it together, put it away immediately. It's like, cool, I've done it. And later I thought like, okay, well, not so strange that not all of the things that I've put in there in about 10 minutes have manifested. Because no, what frequency was it? It was like checking off my list, masculine urgency. It was fear-based, totally. There was no excitement of creation. There was no like dreaming. There was no like, oh, how would it feel? What would I get there? Ooh, it would be amazing if I could add this. And then look at how amazing my life is, you know? It was total fear-based, but it was in my workaholic burnout. You need to get it done. You better get it done, otherwise it would not happen. In hindsight, it's quite hilarious. So I thank you for bringing it up. But it was a necessary process, definitely, for me to see like, no,
Yeah,
no.
totally.
It didn't work out well. No surprise.
No surprise.
No surprise. But B, like you said, are you operating from a love-based emotion or a fear-based emotion? And it sounds so simple, which is why I think we need coaches to remind us to like ask these questions. Because if you would in any moment of your day, like maybe 100 times or 1,000 times on your day, ask yourself like, how do I really feel with this? And then attune accordingly, I think life shifts fast, really fast, if we talk about fastness, but not with force, but effortless, because of the awareness, because of the intuition that then is able to kick in, like because you made that pause and this like often very subtle intuitive voice has a chance to be heard. And like I feel we need people to guide us in these moments where we are like hustling, operating on a program that is no longer serving you, to say like, hey, have you asked yourself how you feel? And then again, hey, how do you feel about this? And then like a broken record, maybe 100 times more, to like actually bring us back to that moment of pause until we've made it a habit to ourselves. It's not about so much new stuff that we need to teach our clients, even though that's exciting and the shiny object syndrome kicks in, and I'm totally up for that. But often I feel it's the little things. It's like really this coming back to you and like, how do you really feel with this? Sit with it. What do you really want in here? Not your separated ego, the whole you, like you so beautifully described, like the whole soul. What does it want? Where's the next step? And then the answer, of course, comes. But normally we don't even take the time. We're running around like headless chicken, trying to do whatever we think we need to do to control whatever we think we could control. But then, of course, we can't. And then that's disease. This is like what we've both experienced within the corporate job, is the body disintegrating, because hurry is fear is destruction.
Yes.
but not even noticing.
Yeah,
So
completely unaware.
yes, completely unaware, and bringing yourself back to loving yourself and saying, I need a rest. I'm totally tired. I'm taking a nap now. Even my to-do list is about 100 points long. My body needs something else. So I'm going with that. That's self-love. That is the opposite of the creation out of hustle and fear. And that is something I would love to see the world operating on this structure collectively. Like, oh, I can see that very visually. An amazing place to move into.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. You know, we get glimmers, right? We get little glimpses. And quite frankly, I mean, it's more common than we like to see, think too, because I mean, media, what we see out in the world, I mean, it's all fear-based, right? And that's what's in our face. But when you turn and look at the world closer to you, you start to see it a little more often. The stranger that holds the door open. Keep the change, at the grocery store. These things, people helping each other across the street, pausing because, mama and the ducks are in the road, stopping and pausing and appreciating the sound of the breeze and the rustle of the leaves, like all of these little things that we don't necessarily even wrap up into, oh, this is high frequency, this is love frequency. They are. And so it's just, where are you placing your awareness, right? There's this beautiful, and see if I get it all kinds of funky wrong and backwards and inside out, but there's always this beautiful metaphor that my amazing shaman shared with me through my mentor. And it's the idea of, well, there are two wolves that are inside of you. One is fear and the other is love. Which is the stronger wolf? Well, the wolf you choose to feed. And so it's then, where do you give your attention and your energy? Is it to noticing those beautiful springtime green leaves rustling on the trees? Is it the blue sky? Is it the sun? Is it the moon? Is it seeing the beauty and the faces of those around you, even when they're doing things that you don't align with? It's those things. That awareness, placing our attention on that, it feels good. Do more of it. Train yourself to do that. And that, even in and of itself, starts to create that beautiful pause that you're talking about. Because what's happening, right, is you're having that moment of just observation, looking around and observing without judging, without really thinking, without reacting, without responding. Like, it's a pause. And that's so beautiful.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the glimmers, because I feel in this fear-based world, it's often so easy to forget how many beautiful things happen. And so it's like you said, it's so in our face what is going wrong, or what is fear-based, or where where we could focus on that, like, makes us contract. But there are so many beautiful moments, and it's like going and stepping into the neutrality of the universe, of God, if you want to call it that way, that is not judging, and just saying, like, okay, I'm observing, I'm seeing it as it is. It just is. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. That is, I feel like, for me, that's the energy of leaning back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we can, like, really listen to our intuition, but also create from that space, because it's detachment. It's not the energy of neediness or hustling, but it's like just quote unquote present. It's not easy to get that state first. But if you have, you feel it. And then we can train our subconscious, our conscious, our body our whole being to look out for these more. And so what I'm doing with my kid, since he understands me consciously, is we do that in the evening, because I want all of us to go to sleep with the love side of things. So we do exactly that. What in our day was beautiful? Where did we have a big laugh? Or where did we make a friend laugh? Or I don't know, what cool things happen? And filling like ourselves up with all the good stuff, because it's so easy to forget it when something really bad happens and it's just like this. In the evening it's like this, and you have no idea that anything good happened during this day because this one annoying thing. And so like I think it's that I would love to have teach kids learn in school, you know. Things like this. How can you focus on the love side of things? How can you connect to yourself? How can you really see these glimmers, become even aware of them? Where is the empowering side of things? Because it always is there. It's just on us to learn to recognize. And so to see like, what 5 things have been cool today? Could be anything. Your cup of coffee, if nothing else was good, then it's that, you know. But there are always things. And I feel like the complaining, if you go into morphogenetic field theory, I think that makes it really tangible. The more we complain, the more we go into the fear-based, the more this grows. Like you said with the wolf, it's essentially the same thing, but not only in, but also outside of us. This like, what do we feed? It grows. If you always have fear about, I don't know, the world collapsing, the next world war happening, whatever, it grows. You make these outcomes be more likely by focusing on them. That's uncomfortable to hear. It's also true. But you also make the beauty more likely to happen when you focus on them. And that's, I feel it's very empowering. It's also quite a shift of mind, but it's also very empowering to like really acknowledge the amount of power each and every one of us holds by coming back full circle to where we started about an hour ago. Frequency. What is your frequency? To go back to like, you're not only quote unquote changing your frequency for yourself. That's collective work. That's like shifting, rippling out into the collective. That's, I think it's magnificent. It's amazing. But we're doing so much good for ourselves by having fun. And then again, it's benefiting everyone. Like, how cool is that?
Totally. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the thing I would even drop just another little juicy nugget in there too, to think about from, the spiritual standpoint of the universe. And I've used the word we talked about a little bit, separateness. Again, am I separate from you, Anna?
Yeah.
No.
Totally.
We're in a different 3D form at the moment, but all of the universe, all of creation is energy. We are all the universe. We are the universe, and the universe is us. So we are all, when we talk about the collective, we're not joking. We are really all one and the same thing. Just imagine it's like little pieces of a tree. We're all part of the tree, but just we have, for this particular moment we're experiencing in this 3D form, in this incarnation, if you will, we've got something just turned on for one little setting at the moment that makes me Teal as an ego and Anna as an Anna ego in this one little moment of time, but yet we're all still the same. So it's this idea of, we're expanding our own lives. We're raising our frequency. It's changing and expanding our world for us, for our loved ones, our family, our kids. But as I do it, it's also creating magnificent expansion for Anna and for you, for all listening, for every single little piece of energy throughout the universe. It raises the frequency of everyone. So it just then feels, not that we get wrapped up then into our self-importance of like, I'm going to raise up myself because then, yes, I'm the powerful one and I change the world. Like, it's not that self-importance. It's, for me, this deep knowing that I'm here to contribute and contribute not in a way of doing, but to contribute by existing. And by existing in my highest, purest state that I am able to do, that I reach while I'm here as me, this ego in this trip on earth, that is contribution.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
love.
because I've donated to charities. It's not because I have cured cancer. It's not because I have saved the baby falling out of the burning building. It's none of that. Even though that's great, not knocking on that, like that's not what I'm saying. That is all good and wonderful, but it's this idea, like we circling back around to that you have to do in order to be valuable or to contribute or to change and create good. You do that by being here. We do that by just being here, learning our lessons, growing and evolving. It raises everything just through that.
Isn't that so beautiful? In these moments where we feel like, oh, we're not enough, or we need to do X, Y, and Z, coming back to the awareness of the whole universe is inside of us, but also it's important that we're here. Just being here is contribution, is importance, not ego importance, but it's important for the collective field. When we vanish out of this physical body, the whole system has to rearrange. And it will, and that's wonderful. But it's every one of us is like, there's so much importance to accepting ourselves and going into the love that there are not even words for it. And I think we need to, not need to, but it's wonderful if we do come to that awareness more and more and more, because that's, if we talk about nervous system relaxation or taking the full us, that's the leaning back. That's coming back to the peaceful energy of being centered within yourself if you have this awareness present in the moment. And then from there, the miracles just come.
Yeah. Well, and what if it's even something so simple that I like to use for myself as well, is that I define love in a very specific way. For me, love isn't, the romantic love or even the feeling we get of love and the conditional and the unconditional of love. Love, as I define it at that frequency, is just acceptance. Because when you accept, that's peace. That's allowing. That's no attachment. That's no fear. And so sometimes I'm not even, okay, I love myself, or I love this, or I love that. It's just, I accept this. It just is what it is. Oh, okay. Not good, not bad, not right, not wrong, no judgment with it. Just, and these are the thoughts that I'm literally go through in my head of just, okay, I see this for what it is right now. I see this experience. I'm experiencing this emotion. I see this thing in the world. I accept that. And it just is that. I acknowledge it. I accept it. It is what it is. And that doesn't mean that you cannot shift, expand, change, evolve. It's not accept and, oh, I'm going to be here forever, only making $5,000 a year. I accept it. That's just all. I can't move. I can't change. No, no, it's just, oh, how interesting. This is what it is. And for me, this is then how I started over the years to approach love, with this sense of just accept. Okay. Because like you already mentioned so well, the universe just observes. Oh, it just is. It just is. It's not right or wrong. The universe isn't judging. It's just, oh, well, this is just energy. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
And if we approach life with that level, that intention of, okay, I see and I accept, I observe. Boy, how powerful then do you feel to make a choice from that space? To make a choice from a space of a peaceful acceptance, right? Because if you're in that space, right, you're not feeling the pressure. You're not feeling the force. You're at that frequency. And what happens at that frequency? You hear, feel, sense, know the universe in your soul. That's when intuition comes, the guidance, the beautiful wisdom comes in that language of love, so to speak, that high frequency. Soul doesn't talk to you in fear. So people are always like, I can't hear my intuition. Well, I'm like, well, you're in your fear. You can't hear. It's always calling and talking to you, but you're on the other line.
You're not picking.
Yeah, right? So sometimes it's like people get a little hung up even on the word love. I don't know if you've noticed that, where they even get a little hung up on the word love. And then I offer, well, what if you just think about peace, acceptance? Think about that. Does it resonate a little more?
Yeah. It's maybe on the definitions or how we grew up, if a certain word kind of triggers.
Yeah.
But as you said, there are always like options to switch. It's about the feeling of leaning back or of inner peace. And if you access that, however you name it, it does not matter that much, but it's
the words don't matter. It's the feeling, it's the energy, right? Yeah, it's that meaning. Yeah,
it is.
So
the acceptance is such a wonderful step, and I feel it's often there's a little less resistance around accepting things versus saying like, oh, I need to love them, I can't love them, but oh, I can accept them. There's this. I feel it's easier for us to, if it's a big leap to accept something, it's easier to accept it than to love it. So it's a wonderful first step. And then from there, we have moved up a few stories. So we finally will get to love at some point. And in hindsight, I think we will, because if you look back on your life, like everyone I've ever talked to, things make sense in hindsight. It's always like, oh yes, that's why that happened. It needed to happen. So there's love for how everything unfolded. Even in that moment, it might have felt like really uncomfortable, scary, frustrating, sad. Now I have love for everything that happened in my life. And I think we all have that when we actually allow ourselves to go back and look with neutrality. And so for the future, we can have the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thank you so much. I would talk to you more. It's unfortunate that we've talked over an hour. the time has gone by so fast. Oh.
It zoomed. It really did. This was such a joy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful energy, your wisdom, your joy. Oh, I haven't even told you, I've picked a card and it said like, I'm worthy of love, joy, and abundance in all areas of my life. So it fits perfectly into what we just talked about, of course.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you so much
for coming and for your patience. We needed a few times to like make this work, but we did, and I'm very glad we did. And I will link all of your information below, Instagram and wherever you want to be mentioned, so that people can connect and get more of your wonderful work and your wonderful energy.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just delighted to be here and share this with you and share what we can, and the intention that, hey, it blesses whoever hears in the way that it is meant to bless. So, and thank you to all listening. Appreciate you too.